I want to know, is it just me, or is this movie really bad? The Sea Beast is a Netflix original animated film. It follows a group of monster hunters in a universe where enormous monsters prowl the oceans. But this movie's message and presentation are completely surface level. There's no nuance or subtlety to be found. Every theme and idea is shouted at you, allowing no room for interpretation. Any character or personality within the movie is diminished by its desire for clarity, and its desire for clarity is diminished by the fact that its plot makes no sense. Okay, now that that's off my chest, let's explore all that went wrong with the Sea Beast. First off, why don't we start at the beginning of the movie? Okay, maybe not the beginning because it does nothing to set up the plot or characters at all. It's kind of a pointless way to start the movie. I think they had the idea for the character's backstory, which we'll see explained later, but they didn't know where to put this scene, so they just shoved it at the beginning. But now, we have another introduction scene immediately following this one, which actually serves to introduce us to the plot and main character. Here is where we meet our favorite little orphan girl and protagonist, Bingley Shingles.
Maisie Brumble.
Close enough. No joke, this name is so funny sounding that I misspelt it 17 times in my script and only barely noticed right before recording. But who is Mabley Brundles? Her motivations include wanting to become a sea monster hunter, and also wanting to immediately change her worldview and end up loving sea monsters. Actually, almost everyone in this movie ends up doing that, so that's not really a defining trait. Also, if this were an RPG, Maisie's speech ability would be at a 100 because she's constantly giving these captivating speeches and changing people's minds as easily as a Jedi mind trick. But we'll get to all of that later. For now, she just wants to run away from her orphanage home and join a monster hunter crew. I hope you enjoyed getting to know her, because you won't see her again for another 15 minutes of movie. Now we take a look at a ship full of monster hunters who are out for a bit of monster hunting. This guy here is Jacob Holland. He's the fellow we saw at the beginning of the movie. We also have this lady. And then we have Captain Crow. Oh, wait, now he's dead.
Captain!
Oh, wait, now he's not? See, he somehow survived being dragged down 50 feet underwater by a massive tentacled sea monster and going presumably multiple minutes without breathing. How? I don't know. This scene sets a precedent that they're not willing to establish any stakes throughout the entire course of actions. Everyone has superhuman survival ability, so there's no real tension. It's like all those Marvel movies. I know that they're releasing another Spider-Man movie next fall, so why should I be worried when they pretend like he dies 3 times every movie? They're just letting you know that there's nothing to worry about in this movie. Everyone is going to be fine, even if it really seems like they shouldn't be. Another big issue is that throughout the whole movie, it sounds abundantly clear that everyone is just saying their lines in a recording studio, probably not even engaging with the other voice actors in these scenes. Each line delivery sounds so artificial and disconnected from the action of the movie. They could be running at a full sprint and the line delivery is like, "Avast, ye beast, I am here to besmite you." It's very hard to be immersed, especially when they're talking in this old pirate lingo, but with the most crystal clear British accents. If I can understand your Cockney accent, it's not Cockney enough. That's the litmus test.
But if he can't have the blusters, Hyde, he'll have ours, to be sure.
Yeah, sounds like you're in pretty good shape.
Well, not too bad. Let's see what I was talking about anyway. I'd like to have some.
Anyway, they defeat a sea beast, not the sea beast, but one of them, and head back to the mainland, where Maisie and Jacob first meet, and unsurprisingly, she gets on his nerves, which is good foreshadowing for how she'll get on everyone's nerves, including the audience, for the rest of the movie. So he sends her on her way back to the orphanage by locking her in a carriage, and that's the last we ever see of her. The captain and Jacob and the lady pirate then go to see the king and queen, who don't like monster hunters anymore and want to end their patronage with them. Instead, they want to take this guy,
Admiral Hornigold.
and make him head of a military division of monster hunters. I'm sure that'll work out well. The monster hunters challenge the monarchs that they can slay the biggest and strongest sea beast before Admiral Hornigold can. And if they fail, they get no more money. So that's what they set out to do. Then we find out that Maisie's stowed away in one of the pirates' kegs. I mean, one of the hunters' kegs. I've got to stop calling them pirates. Now, they don't show her escaping the locked carriage, nor how she managed to empty the keg and then hide in it without any crew members questioning the fact that it probably doesn't weigh or feel the same as a barrel of liquid. Regardless, Maisie is able to use her silver tongue to convince the captain to keep her on board. Then the pirate lady, whose name is Sarah Sharp, I'll start using her name, gives her a bed to sleep in. Here they have an on-screen conversation for about 50 seconds, and then they don't speak to each other again for 50 minutes. Surely this isn't enough time to develop these characters' relationship or establish an emotional connection that the movie will later rely on existing, or is it? So Captain Crow explains to Jacob that he likes Maisie.
I see a fire in her. Same fire I saw in you.
Aw, that's kind of sweet. Nah, actually, never mind. I'm just gonna shoot her. Oh my god. The sea beast then swallows them both, and now they're trapped inside of its mouth. And now they got out. I feel like there should have been more to this scene, but like the rest of this movie, everything happens so fast that there's no time to build tension or establish stakes. It looks like Captain Cook is gonna die, but he survives 2 seconds later. Our heroes get eaten, but they spend about 2 minutes before immediately getting out. It's hard to stay invested in a scene when conflict is resolved so quickly that... Wait a minute. Hold on. How are they breathing underwater? How come there's this magic pocket of air just inside the monster's nostrils? This isn't like that boat thing from Pirates of the Caribbean where it creates an air bubble. The water should be flowing right into them. Are sea beasts capable of creating force fields around their noses? Moving on. Here in this scene, as the beast bites Maisie and holds her there, Maisie has a change of heart. She no longer believes that sea monsters are evil. It's clear to her now that they are her friends. She changes her mind about the things she's been dreaming about her whole life, all because the monster stared at her for a few seconds. Now, her number one goal is to expose the lies of the monarchy and reveal the mass propaganda in the war against sea monsters. Yes, this is really her character arc. I mean, she does the fastest 180 I've ever seen from any character in any work of fiction. Remember how in the Pixar movie Inside Out, it took Joy pretty much the entire movie to realize that sadness is actually the most important emotion in that stage of Riley's life? It's almost as if beliefs are instilled so strongly in us that it requires a complete revolution for us to change our stubborn ways. Well, it took Maisie all about 5 minutes to go through all of that. So they had what was a full movie arc and finished it by the beginning of the second act. What's the rest of this movie supposed to be about now? You might assume then that the movie will just treat Jacob's character as that growth and arc to drive the plot forward. And while that happens a little bit, it's completely ineffective when you realize that throughout the movie, Jacob has almost no agency. He simply does what he's told, believes what he's told to believe, he can't save the day in the moment of crisis, and he's humiliated at almost every turn. He's a terrible protagonist. Aside from being the one getting an arc, he serves almost no purpose. You want a character arc to be like making a homemade batch of cookies, but to do that, you need a rich, creamy cookie dough. Jacob's cookie dough is more like Play-Doh. Uh-oh, do you hear that? It's quirky music, but that means cutely marketable animal sidekick. Oh no! After fighting a giant monster, they decide that now is the best time to leave the island, only to then encounter a giant lobster monster that nearly eats Jacob, until the sea beast comes and saves them. Why did the sea beast come and save them, you ask? Because she's their friend now, that's why. But now it looks like Maisie can communicate with the sea beast using her shining telepathy powers or whatever, and asks her to help them get back to a port. Over the course of this journey, Maisie tries to convince Jacob that they've been lied to their whole lives about the sea monsters, claiming that the history of the sea monsters' attacks were all made up, propaganda for the powers that be to influence the socio-political climate and to gain control over the common folk. This girl has gone full-on conspiracy theorist at this point, and Jacob is buying every last word. Meanwhile, Captain Crow goes to see a witch, sorceress, evil lady who's very evil and very ominous. And if you're wondering why she's so evil and ominous, don't worry, she'll explain everything completely unprompted.
You know what they say about me, Captain? Them what can see Gwen Batterby get what they want, but won't see a good day after.
She claims that it'll cost him everything for her to make him a poison that can kill the sea beast. But as we find out at the end of the movie, it doesn't cost him really anything. He doesn't even die. He just kind of gets embarrassed and loses his ship and his crew and livelihood. But he was about to retire anyway, so it's not like there was much of a loss at all, really. Unless maybe they're trying to say that while Crow was trying to change his fate by making a deal with the witch lady, he was actually solidifying his fate. Is this movie trying to get smart? No, it can't be. Back to our heroes, they arrive at the island and Maisie is worried that Jacob will relapse into his monster hunter ways. She also really doesn't want to go back to the orphanage.
Easton is a place. It ain't a family.
Now, I find that sentiment somewhat hard to believe. At the beginning, it seemed like you were surrounded by happy, positive, supportive orphan friends. And this has got to be the least oppressive orphan keeper ever depicted in media. I mean, this is something simple enough that even Despicable Me can get it right.
You're never gonna get adopted, Ada. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, I know.
You have to establish that there really is no love to return to. Maisie should really appreciate this group of children that don't bully and abuse her, and a headmaster who doesn't beat her. It's almost as if, in an attempt to make this movie as inoffensive as possible, it fails to establish any conflict, and it tries to lie to you and act like her old home was a terrible place for her, when really she's just an unappreciative brat. Not to mention that nobody ever tried to shoot you with a gun at the orphanage. I feel like that bears reminding.
And you ain't going back on that ship, so all you have is me.
Y'all, this girl is a straight up parasite. And of course, Jacob doesn't even second guess it.
No more monster hunting!
Okay, never mind. I'm gonna shoot the monster now. Oh, what is it with these people and just shooting people after 5 minutes of being their friends? So at this point, the sea beast sees the military ship on the other side of the island. The beast then recognizes this ship as being hostile, even though it's just sitting there, not attacking or anything. Then she decides to ambush the ship and try to kill everyone on board. This leads to Maisie falling and injuring herself, and she dies. So the monster hunters shoot the sea beast with a poison spear that they got from the witch, and she crashes down. And Captain Crow shows that he's super dumb. He says, let's remove the poison so she doesn't die. But why? Why do that? There's no reason to do that. You need her dead, so just make sure she's dead. You're already going to drag her floating body across the ocean, so why not just kill her and then show her to the king and queen? Why keep her alive? It makes no sense. Nobody behaves rationally in this whole movie. Our heroes get rescued and put on the boat and begin a blood transfusion, which I'm not going to question. I'm not familiar with older methods of medicine. Let's just move on. What happens next? Oh my gosh! She's a crazy murderer girl! She just tried to murder this man who up until 24 hours ago, her whole life she idolized and worshipped and loved. She's more willing to kill him than she was to kill the sea beast. If you look at this movie in the scope of the time that these events are transpiring, it's so unrealistic and unbelievable the change in motivations and character that Maisie goes through. But anyway, we're almost done. Sarah Sharp then locks Maisie in her room, and Maisie tries to sway her to the rebellion. And of course, it works. Sarah is immediately like, I believe you. The sea beasts are our friends.
I believe you.
Why does everyone change their minds so quickly in this movie? Especially with zero evidence or insight at all. It makes no sense. But Sarah doesn't even do anything about it. You know why? Because she's just here to get paid.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
So obviously, Maisie needs to escape and set the sea beast free. So she escapes with the help of her little monster friend and gets down to where the sea beast is all tied up. She begins to cut the rope, and luckily Jacob is able to stall for time before Captain Crow stabs the beast. And when it looks like it's too late, Sarah comes and cuts the rope herself. Hold on. Was he just standing like this for that whole scene? Why didn't he just stab the beast? This was like a 15-second scene. He stood like this for 15 straight seconds. How does time freeze when Sarah Sharp opens her mouth? But whatever, is the movie over yet? So this scene here is probably the only scene that the movie gets right. Right when it looks like the beast is going to kill Captain Crow, Maisie convinces the sea beast to end the cycle of violence.
If you do this, it never ends.
At least the movie was able to convey the message it was trying to all along. Of course, this coming from the same girl that lunged at Captain Crow with a knife, you know what? Let's look past that. People can change. Maisie then gives a rousing speech about how the bourgeoisie has fed them propaganda to fuel an endless war and keep themselves in power. And although she's really far away from everyone, they can all hear her, so she must be projecting her voice with the fervor that every opera singer dreams of. And like everyone else in this movie, they immediately believe her and change their worldview. Down with the monarchy!
Down with the monarchy.
The sea beasts are our friends.
The sea beasts are our...
Hang on a minute. Monster hunting is good for the economy. Look how illustrious this castle is. It was paid for by the materials we acquired from hunting them beasts. And I'm a fisherman, so fewer sea monsters means less competition. And what about that lobster monster that attacked you twos earlier in the movie? That was unprompted aggression. How do you suppose we could police that? Are you sure that completely disrupting the status quo and starting a revolution that creates a power vacuum is such a great idea? This movie is naive, impractical, implausible, impossible to connect to, and all around frustrating. It doesn't even look that good, as in not visually compelling. Compared to other great animated works of our time, its animation style feels so contrived. Pinocchio is a beautifully meticulous, handcrafted stop-motion work. The Spider-Verse movies are changing the animation landscape. At this point in animation, you have to find a way to do something unique and interesting. And you have to write a script that's engaging for adults too. Everyone in this movie talks like I'm 4 years old. The line delivery could be way more immersive. The kids will understand it. You don't have to dumb it down for them. At a certain point, I stopped caring that the movie isn't very good. It's just fun to make fun of. I mean, look at this scene. They're all just standing there like NPCs. I mean, seriously, how is no one running? Why are the soldiers so chilled? Even the king and queen who were just running away inexplicably came back to see what was going on. Nobody acts rationally in this whole movie. Well, that was upsetting. Thank you for watching. I would recommend this movie if you are very bored and if you don't like movies at all. So if you like the video, make sure to do whatever you do whenever you like a video. I don't know. You do you. Whenever I like a video, I usually just click off, go watch a different video. But hey, you're cool, so you'll probably subscribe and maybe even comment. Comment how much you love this movie. Comment how much you wish this movie won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature last year, because it was nominated. Yeah, that's true. It was nominated, but so was The Boss Baby. So really, there's no standard for animated films when it comes to Oscar nominations. Yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah, thank you for watching.